Good day and welcome to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. As a starter for today, I thought let's have the quiet music and get into the feeling. No, sorry. Let's start off with Lucas Moravec, who's been growing into quite a bit of a force of its own. And at the other end of the map we've got Eric Hammer, and Eric Hammer has gone a little bit quiet. I think its author has found some other pressing activities in real life that needs tending to. But it's still a pretty decent II, and by pretty decent I mean very, very good. So let's look at a lot of drones and the fast expansion. At the other end we have got, oh god, we've got freeze. Sorry, it's don't select anything at all today. So let's hop into it again, tune the sound down, and I think that the music's a little bit loud as well. So, yep, so let's do it this way. At the other end of the map we've got double gateway and a little bit more speed. So I'll try and be careful about not selecting too much. And the first zealot makes its way across the map. At the other end of things we've got a pool, a couple of links coming in. But that's quite a number of zerglings, so I don't know if Eric Hammer is going to be okay. Of course there are now 2 gateways, so the number of zerglings should be about equal to the number of zealots. And as the latter are going to make it home, I don't think there is much of a threat for Zerg anyway. And is this the 3rd hatchery? That's always a good decision, because Zerg really need those extra larvae. And also, if an enemy is going pure zealots, you need... look at that combat simulate. I can't get over this dance, really, after all these years, and I've been with the tournament for almost 3 years now. It's really something. I still see this dance a lot, where both these groups are trying to ascertain, well, can I take this fight or should I wait a little bit? And the scouting probe dies, and it's this back and forth dance. It's like the lobster quadrille in Alice in Wonderland, but zerglings and zealots. No, that's a pretty cool dance move. Back and forth, all in a split frame. That's really brilliant. Then it's going to be about +1 and more zealots. So Lucas Moravec a little bit committed, and Eric Hammer is going for a forest of sunkens, and every time 50 minerals get available, another sunken is morphed, and 5 sunken and a lot of zerglings. That might surely be enough. Also, there is a lair, so with the first neuter out, I think it's going to be a doozy for Eric Hammer. That said, he needs to stall a little bit more, and meanwhile, oh god, the zealots are really getting into a swing. There must be some dubstep music playing. This is really brilliant. And these ones in the back are trying to reach the main group, but are also commanded to get back and forth. Oh, and there is a goon too, so by now I think that the spire's nearly done, and it's a good thing there is a goon, at least one, and more coming of course. No second base, no third base for Zerg, but with the 5 sunkens and the zerglings, I think Zerg is in a good position. The worker count is in favor of Zerg actually, so that's quite ingenious. And that's range, and that is another pylon. So the question is, how will the goon versus muta thing get underway? And meanwhile, what's Zerg doing? I think it's going to be about mutas this time. Here they come. Oh, sorry. And they're going after the goons. And there are not too many mutas, but the zealots they can kill. And if you look at the army supply, it's 20 versus 42. It's about double for Protoss, but as most of that army supply is in zealots, which don't do absolutely nothing against mutas, it's going to be a small problem. And that must be an Evo, and oh, that's going to be 2 Evos. Hello. What have we here? The zerglings and mutas are really digging into this Protoss army. As you can see, the mutas now retreating, this one getting pretty low. And they should really focus on picking off this this zealot vanguard. 3rd base for Zerg, and the Hydra Den and an Evo chamber and more drones. So despite buildings being built, the drone numbers are being kept up, and the zealots are in a bit of a nasty shade, I would say. 3 goons shouldn't be able to deal with all these mutas. 4 goons now, but They are getting pretty low, must be. The Zealots aren't getting anything done, not... Oh well, a single Sunken got taken. No expansion for Protoss, and although there are a couple of cannons in the mineral line, which is about half depleted by now, I think this is going to be a rather ugly couple of minutes for Protoss, if not the last. And Mutas are incoming, and the Zerglings are incoming. The Mutas are going to cut off the goons. One is going to... Oh, it just lives. It must be very... Oh, only the shield. There are not that many Mutas, it seems. But getting in a lot of free hits, and the anti-air defenses of Protoss are really minimal and being gunned down quickly. Meanwhile, Zerglings coming, third base being taken, and yep, there you go. So those are the in-base cannons, and that was the game. So GG, Eric Hammer takes one over Lucas Moravec, and turning the macro knob a little bit more for good measure. But this game is over, and let's get into the next game. Oh god, what was that? An unexpected error. I always like that. But... Oh god. Please let it not be this way, and please let it just be... Oh god. This wasn't good. Okay. Protoss is not supported. Attempt to read past end or something. Let's hope it's just this game. Okay, well, so one game is obviously not readable by the replay viewer, and we get back to the next game. It's Kasiabot, which has been improved upon a lot and is really kicking ass. I saw it take down enemies, which I thought, well, it would take a year to do that. But it's really getting into its stride. At the other end of the map, oh, let me tune this down a little bit, we've got Thomas Weider's Ximp, and Ximp still kicking ass, despite not having received no update for 3 years. It's still doing its thing, cannons, and behind that, carriers. The question is, how do you deal with that? And for the time being, Kasiabot's answer seems to be fast expand. And here comes the Nexus for Thomas Weider, and this initial stage of the 2 cannons out early, you might do something about that. But then again, it would also require a very dedicated push, and if that fails, you are out economically, so... Okay, well, let's see. A couple of cannons. Oh, let me speed it up, because I've got quite a bit of long, good games, I hope, from the file size of the replays. And that is 2 base Muta. Hello. And there appears to be a little bit of a gap, because the only starports are only just now finishing up. And I think, yeah, those are Scourge, and those are Mutas. So, these 2 Mutas, we've got about 5 taking down the first gateway. Nice timing attack. And this gateway is in a major quandary, especially as there's so many Scourge about already too. Goon coming out, but to no avail, and this Overlord sacrificed itself on the cannons, but this is, as you might say, over. Third base being taken for Kasiabot, just throwing a little bit of macro in there as well. More Mutas coming up, and they are not, it seems like, intent upon taking the direct approach. They are going in through an angle, and that's something that Ximp does as well. It sends the carriers on a tour along the edges of the map to find the enemy main. And it seems like Kasiabot is applying the same trick to Thomas Weider's Ximp, so that's nice to see. Meanwhile, the Mutas are running away with the base, going for the Stargates first. That seems to be some custom prioritization thing. And after all the starports are done, I think they will be going after the probes, but for the time being with this economy, there is quite a little bit of starport building going on. Meanwhile, the Mutacloud are really getting out of control. And although these buildings gain hit points pretty fast, Ximp is losing a lot of money. And after that, it's going to be, I think, anti-air defenses, and now it's going to be the probes, and this base is being depopulated so fast. Third base up for Kasiabot. Drone count is okay, it's just a one-trick pony to take down Ximp, it looks like. But what a one-trick pony it is, and I'm going to call the GG. Hopefully this game is okay too. It's Niels Justson, new player. We saw a little talk of him on in CIG, the real actual conference. and it was about learning from replays, and at the end of it he said, well, I can confidently defeat the built-in AIs of Blizzard, so that's pretty good. And of course, as a long-time watcher of StarCraft AI server, you might say, well, that's not very impressive, is it? Then again, it is very impressive if you take into consideration that it is gleaned that information, the build order creation, from all that it has learned from replays. So, yeah, for now it's going to be a couple of zealots. And that's good, because there are also a couple of lings, and a couple of zealots are not doing anything. So that's a bit of a letdown. And, oh, only now, after 2/3 of the probe line have been decimated, or 2/3 have been decimated, it has been, I don't know, 60% aided. And Niels Justinson struggling for some control. A couple of zealots at the ramp now. It was a good first stroke for Forcebot, which has been pushed as well. A couple of updates we've seen, and let's see, it looks like it's just going to be about a lot of Zerglings. And Zerglings in, Zerglings out. Is this a third hatchery? Yes, it is. So 3-hatch Zerglings seems to be a real thing now. Meanwhile, we've got a supply block, Niels Justinson, with no pylon planning, so every time it runs out of supply it will build a pylon, but not before that. The Lings have gotten the better of things and are in the probe line again, so this time it's the GG. Oh, and we've got some Hydras and all. So, oh, there is one goon being chased to death. But that's that. There are 2 groups, that's pretty good. I always like when an AI has got 2 control groups of units to do things, and that's the game. So next it's Ironbot vs TSMU, and while I'll let the focus rest on TSMU a little bit, I have got to show you the rankings. It seems like Ironbot is right on top back again, 14 points ahead of Crazio, and then basically it is the rest, like we have seen so many times before. Interestingly, TSMU Terran is holding the lamp high for the TSMU tribe, and then Purple Wave and Ter Protoss coming in at a very respectable 5th place. I have some games of him, so that would be interesting to see as well. McGrave 2, then TSMU Protoss Zerg, and of course 4-Pooler has made a lucky run through all the scrap bots which do not defend versus 4-Pool. Then Litterbot getting into its strides, Team Hammer, and then the usual suspects in the midfield. But very interesting this week, I'd say, is Ter Protoss with the new Protoss bot, coming in at a 5th place. Very, very respectable. So, where were we? We were with TSMU, and TSMU, in case like me you've got the memory of a garden slug, TSMU at 3rd place doesn't mean much because it's equal practically with a lot of others, but it's still pretty good and it can throw a party like anyone can tell you. Ironbot has been not as dominant as it used to. It's about equal with Crazio now. Although it beats Crazio, it is a little bit more susceptible to other AIs, and Crazio gets more wins from beating down mid-tier players or other top-tier players, and losing to Ironbot. That's really its biggest bane right now. And there we go. We see the initial, we almost saw the initial kill being made. An Ironbot with a Marine versus a Vulture and TSMU. So this is a little bit of a tug of war. Now it will all be down to composition. TSMU's got 2.5 factories, 3 now, a 1 base economy and 1 machine shop. Ironbot has 2 factories and going for a starport. So that's something to take into account, that it will have a Wraith relatively soon. And in the midfield, I think TSMU is being okay with a lot of Vultures, certainly not going to die to Vultures. And because there are more SCVs than the saturation here allows, they're going to long distance mine, and the Vultures are occupying the ramp a little bit too much. Iron being a little bit defensive at this point. Only when the Wraith is done, the Vultures are venturing out once more with mines, and that's pretty good. And this is all free damage for Iron, and it's not only oh, but TSMU is really going to press the issue. But I think with the rallies there are enough Vultures of Irons, and the Wraith is taking its toll. Every Vulture has gotten a pew on it, of TSMU's Vulture. Now 2 raids, and basically the amount of stuff you get done with Vultures versus Vultures plus 2 raids is nil. So you can look, if you look at this Vulture, it's got a couple of damage points and then some more by these raids. 3 raids now, and TSMU's a bit of a quandary, as Ironbot has more than double the army supply and 3 raids, and although there is a tank, yeah hello, it has got no anti-air. There are no Goliaths, there are no Marines, and that's a free tank, just killed by 3 raids. And although there are 2 Goliaths out at this moment, I think that TSMU is a bit of a bother, because the mobility is clearly on Iron's side, and although more Goliaths are coming out, TSMU needs to keep them together, defend here, defend there, and attack everywhere. So that's a Wraith kill, and another one. So these SCVs aren't really safe, and look at the micro of Iron. TSMU's very hard pressed to get a hit in, and that was a Wraith kill. That was very good. A couple of turrets might do wonders, because then these Goliaths would be free to pursue the middle of the map, which is and does now belong to Iron. 2 tanks staying at home. I've seen that before, that Iron's tanks stay at home, and Iron do taking the precaution of building a couple of turrets in the main in case TSMU with the starport is going to do something sneaky of its own. Nice building placement, secondary defensive ring, and everything can exit. That's very well done by TSMU. TSMU now taking the middle of the map. Iron getting a little bit too harassy, and the Wraith weapon has now been negated by these Goliaths, and the same goes for these Vultures, because Goliaths don't take as much damage from Vultures as do other Goliaths and Marines, not being small units. But they've got to be careful not to be surrounded by superior forces, and look at the middle of the map being covered in mines. That's really something. Iron going for the natural, which TSMU's got already up, so TSMU in a decent position, but the tanks of Iron have made it to the show, and although TSMU's got a bit of tankage himself, I think that Iron with the greater mobility has got this stuff locked down. Now, what will we see? A bit of stalemate, bit of the first tank squabbles getting underway. Army supply-wise, it's about equal. Worker supply-wise, TSMU is ahead, way ahead actually. So this supply is deceptively in favor of TSMU, because TSMU can't really get out, it can't take a 3rd base. Iron at this point can, populating the natural. No fancy tech coming up for Iron, and this tank, ooh, TSMU's got a way superior tank count, but it is sort of contained by 2 tanks and a handful of Vultures. Boom, there you go. TSMU really might repair its tanks more and get a couple of turrets up. That might really work well, so it can push out of this contain rather more easily. Iron not taking advantage of the situation to get in a 3rd, but these 2 Wraiths are really doing damage. These tanks are getting low, they're getting free shots all over them, and then if they go toe to toe with Iron's tanks, they've got the disadvantage of being partially damaged or nearly dead already. Wraith killing SCVs, Wraiths killing tanks, and TSMU just hasn't got the scan, so it really need a science vessel, and it can build one, so but by this time the army size of TSMU is really depleted. Iron taking a 3rd, and as it's said, that's sort of the game, because TSMU can't get out, so much pressure on it, and even with the science vessel now providing side range to the tank and to the Goliath, it is getting free shots from the Wraith as well, and the Wraith is getting some shots from the Goliath, so it's a bit of a stalemate right now. But 3 versus 2 bases with a supply advantage for Iron, because, mind you, these 55 SCVs, TSMU still building SCVs for some reason. Although the main is mined out, the natural is heavily oversaturated as well. A couple of Valkyries, those are pretty good versus Wraiths, but TSMU can't really get out. It's got the position with the bridges, and this choke is being perfectly camped by Iron. And I like that Iron is blocking the path here and there, but nothing here, so TSMU might ferry something out or send an air unit here, but Iron has somehow, luckily or by purpose correctly, assumed that TSMU is going to come out through land and only occupying the land passes to the rest of the map. Now, 3rd base operational, and here is why you have got to have not too many workers, because TSMU has now got 65 workers in only 1 base. and this is basically over. So a little bit of skirmishing going on here with the Valkyries and the tanks. Without turret support, I think that Iron might fall back a little bit. These Valkyries, and I've got to time this carefully, are going to do very well against Wraith. This factory is going to burn down shortly. Oh, there it goes. And the Valkyries are overseeing a couple of vultures. They could be positioned here. And there they go. So they let go a blast, and the blast of missiles really pursues those Wraiths back to half a screen further away. That's pretty good, and then it gives the tanks of TSMU a chance to move out a little bit more. And if the science vessel, hello science vessel, if you've come over here for a bit, yeah, all with the scan, and that's 2 Wraiths for a single scan. The problem is Iron's got 3 and nearly 4 bases up, and TSMU's only got 2 comsats, so that's not even a scan for 2 Wraiths is a good deal for TSMU anymore. TSMU's got to break out, got to take a third, preferably with gas. And Iron is so going to run away with this. It's not going to be funny. Science vessel of its own. Army supply wise, Iron really far ahead. And TSMU is just not aggressive enough. Not focused enough on the economical balance. Oh, and these SCVs have been stuck into the meat grinder of these vultures. Work account for TSMU is falling hard. And a couple of vultures which are being sent out to help and remedy things are going to be sent down as well. The Valkyrie suiciding on the turret, that's not good either. And TSMU is really falling apart, only now trying to push back Iron, but as this is the situation, Iron with 4 bases up. And I don't know what these SCVs were sent to the command center first. Iron is 2 bases up versus TSMU, the natural is getting out. And although TSMU is finally pushing Iron a little bit further back, it's still 1 base behind, and the SCV count is in the toilet. That's really unfortunate. And although there are matrix vessels and tanks on the high ground, so TSMU really taking a piece of the map for itself, Iron at this point is unstoppable. You can see the army supply counts a little bit up, and although TSMU might, with some good pushing, do a little bit of damage, economically speaking, there is not much TSMU can do. There needs to be a command center here, and preferably one here as well. But TSMU hasn't got the scans, hasn't got the science vessel capacity to spare to check the mines. And at this point, it's just getting way out of control. Iron, with the 3 gas income, 1, 2, or this one will be depleted by now. But with the 2 gas versus the 1 gas income, it's not really anything TSMU can do to remedy that. Iron is about maxed, banking gas, almost banking gas. And although TSMU's fighting hard, and Iron's really being put to it right now. TSMU's got tank on the high ground, has got this Valkyrie cloud, and it's got the science vessels, and there is not really much in the form of air superiority that Iron can muster at this point. There is a command center here, so is this going to be TSMU's comeback? Is TSMU also going to take this base, or just long distance mine? That is a really impressive push by TSMU. But, oh no, those are factories or something. And Iron is maxed, it got the way superior army, but TSMU is fighting so well. And now with a couple of pawn offers, it's the tanks of Iron pushing back a little bit, and then you get the situation where it's painfully apparent how many tanks TSMU's got left. It's got 10 here and a couple there, but there is pressure here from Iron, and there is pressure there from Iron, and TSMU is just being put in a horrible position. More production capacity, more tech buildings for Iron, another base. It's a mineral only, unfortunately, but you can see that TSMU is really having to fight really hard. The natural's out, it's 1 base versus 1. That's still mining 2, 3 bases for 4 bases for Iron, and Iron is just way more ahead economically. And even if TSMU is fighting the better fights, this tank count is depleting itself so quickly, and this tank count is being kept at 100% HP by all these SCVs. Iron's got the money, it's now banking gas, not really quickly, but it is banking gas, and that's another base now with a gas. So yeah, what can you do? This base under attack, and the tank is being put down by the vultures. So many vultures. Iron is throwing them away like the European Central Bank is throwing away euros at buying bankrupt firms and supporting with free loans everything else in its path. It's just a beauty to see. Just 15 vultures, throw them at the enemy. We are ahead. We've got this bank of minerals. We've got a bit of a gas problem, but just throw the vultures out and they disrupt the economy. TSMU is out of money and Iron is losing tanks, losing vultures at an alarming rate. TSMU, very good air cover with the science vessel, with the Valkyries, but there is just nothing there. These few 5 tanks are all that's left, and TSMU desperately trying to take another base, but this base has been depopulated. It's got a grand total of 1 workers. I'm very curious to see where it is. I don't know where it is. Oh, it's building. Well, it is harvesting here, but as soon as this 1 worker dies, and it's now repairing the science vessel instead of making money for. So you can see the dire straits TSMU is in at this point. And Iron is going to come in flying. Feet in the air, knees up, to the head. All the workers of TSMU dead, and Iron is still Iron, and that is why it is the number 1 on the list. So let's see what Tier Protoss can do. Tier Protoss, Simon Prince has been pushing it very, very hard, and every time you've got a bot which has been updated quite regularly, there is a chance that it will have... Not so fast, my friends. There is a chance that it will have a build specifically countered to Iron, and looks like it's very heavy zealous pressure before the first vulture is out. Unfortunately, there is a war with a Marine, and that is a very aggressive 1 base build, no quick expansion, and Iron of course is going for a vulture of the first base, which will be able to deal with these poor zealots if it were to take up a correct position. Yeah, there it can take a hit every once in a while. What's happening now is that Iron is contained by these 4 zealots, which are taking a little bit too many hits to my taste, but perhaps it's worth it. And now there is a Dragoon, which is 2 Dragoons. I'd say that's pretty well done by Tier, because Goons outrange Vultures, and only now as there is a tank, that's quick thinking by Iron. So basically it's Zealots beat Marines and Vultures beat Zealots, Goons beat Vultures and tanks beat Goons. And once tanks are out, as a Protoss you've got to do something different, do something clever, and in this case, oh, that's siege mode, and the Goons are going to go out of harm's way immediately, not losing too many units. That's also a very good idea. Iron's got enough money for a command center, which it will promptly put down, I hope. Now the Goons might be a little bit more aggressive with these Vultures, but the SCVs and the Vultures are dancing out of harm's way. Iron with the tank, that's some very good tank usage on the high ground, making a safe zone for Iron to put down its natural, which for Tier is already up, and that's a very ballsy place to take a 3rd, especially if you are playing Iron. But basically that's it. It's just going to be gateway play. Ooh, not going to just be gateway play. We see a starport there, and Iron now finished its natural 2. So that's a bit of a goo-glue. That's a lot of workers lost for only 2 Vultures, and although the workers of Tier Protoss catch a lot of them, a couple of cannons might come in handy, because you can contain the tanks for a long time, but these Vultures just go to run into everything and kill a lot of workers, and that's about 500-600 minerals lost just for workers, and these Vultures are going to kill lots and lots of workers. All the Goons are only coming into the fight, and Tier Protoss hasn't really... It's got 3 bases but only 30 workers, that's not a lot. The contain is somewhat there-ish. Iron banking up on tanks, but 1-2 cannons here might do wonders, and a couple of Goons for home defense might work wonders as well. So Iron, what's it going to do? Science facility just going to sit back, play defensively for a change. That it's also learned to do a little bit better. And these Vultures just keep sneaking out and taking a toll on the probes. This Goon walks by, and this Vulture, oh, it's a little bit trying to make up its mind. Is it very low on HP? No, not really. But until another Goon comes out, it's going to take forever for this Vulture to stop its harassing practices. Army supply-wise, Tier is well, a little bit ahead, but versus tanks, you better be a hell of a lot ahead. And this base is, oh god, being depopulated by wraiths. So pile and 2 cannons will save you a lot of workers and will gain you a lot of army supply in the end. Tyr, meanwhile, taking up like a madman. And what's it going to build from those StarCAITs? That's really going to be the question. But this wraith is really negating, well, not really negating, for a large part negating that the operations of that base. Iron having made its way out, going for a third in-base mineral only, and the tanks are going to shut this Protoss operation down pretty quickly. We've got carriers, and that's an interesting choice for sure. Perhaps we'll have 2, and there aren't too many Goliaths, so perhaps something can be done with those. The third base is thoroughly shut down, Iron's got the third up, and that's really how you fare if you let the enemy get away with harassment of the third, of the natural. Just pile in 2 cannons, and those cannons are very, very late because now there are tanks ranging them. And we've got another carrier. So yeah, you've got 2 carriers, but you've also got the entire Terran army at your front door. So it won't really make much of a difference. The third base is not being taken down. These vultures only harvest the occasional worker being built. And Iron is sitting back happily, its main empire untouched. Third base up 2 turrets, so that's basically what you do. You can't any free muter run-bys or wraith run-bys or carrier run-bys. Just put a turret here and there. And yeah, these 2 carriers aren't going to do anything much at this point. Lots of turrets, lots of Goliaths, and the tanks just going to inch upon the natural. The main will be out soon. And yep, you've got 3-4 carriers, but what can they do at this point? Or can they? No, surely there are too many wraiths, too many Goliaths. And although they are balking out on the interceptors quite a bit, and there is another carrier coming in to help, the natural's been taken down. Iron taking another base, adding some production, that's very good as well. And this clump of units is just too tough to engage, I feel, for Protoss at this moment. At the right flank, the carriers are doing great work. But in the long run, I feel like Protoss can't really support this because it's got no income whatsoever. It's got 200 minerals in the bank, but the natural looks like this, and the carriers, although they fight a good fight, it's a little bit of a timing thing for Protoss, I feel, because if it were to have 2 pylons at the natural in the time of the vultures only, and 2 cannons here in the time that the wraith took all the workers out, it would have had a much better chance to get this army rolling, and then it should have to trade versus the Terran forces. But that's a hard decision to make, but well, what can you do? So the tanks take this, and if your main base looks like this, even though you've got carriers, I'm going to call the GG. And into the next one, it's McRave versus TSMU, and McRave is going to put down a really good show, and TSMU is going to do that as well. So let's see how this play is going to unfold. A small map. I think that will favor the Terran because it's so easy to shut that down with siege tanks, and Protoss really need the room to maneuver and get all the macro bases up. But we'll see, because most of these bases are attainable. This one round the back, I think that McRave has, yeah, there it goes, has got the capacity to mine out these neutral minerals, and TSMU does so too. For the moment, bunker and the siege tank just going to sit back a little bit. McRave doing the same, nice concave around the bridge's edge. And here, ooh, here comes McRave. SCV getting out of the way. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and we've got a bunker, and we've got 2 tanks at least. So I think that these goons would be wise to move out of the way, but the tanks are unprotected, and ooh, if they would have pressed the issue, they might have killed the tank. Perhaps with a couple of zealots, the next wave of rallies, they might have had a better chance. But TSMU now going to push out more tanks. It's got 3 tanks now at bunker, and I'm sure I saw a vulture overnight. I don't know. So both players on 2 bases. An initial skirmish has been thwarted. The attack has been thwarted by TSMU, and McRave just losing a couple of units for free. couple of tanks in the background, one at the front. I don't really like that setup because you'd like to protect this initial tank. And that is why, because it could only got off 2 blasts. And McRave really putting pressure on, but if these zealots would run into these tanks, they would have met a much better chance. And with this army, McRave could have busted the whole thing right there. But unfortunately didn't do so. Going for a third instead, that's a decent choice as well. But it basically had that battle won, and TSMU off 2 bases really struggling to get the macro going. Not yet a third base. Or is the third base going to be somewhere up here? There is a scouting SCV, and I like that. Because you've got to keep tabs on the enemy, and although it didn't scout that base, perhaps with the drone, the probe transfers, it deduced that there was something there. And now TSMU is really stuck on this tank, and that's unfortunate. A couple of units coming around the back, but the natural is really unprotected at this moment. Only 1 vulture, 1 bunker, 2 tanks, and this tank finally getting out of the way. But now these units are sort of stuck, and they've got to move out pretty quickly. It's an advantage having a choke like that, but because units in StarCraft Brood War are so stupid, they can also get stuck on ramps and form a group which they can't get out on. They're all superimposed upon each other like this, and it's very hard to move, to get unstuck. But I don't think that this model is permanent. The tanks can still get out, and there they go. So TSMU taking the map with brutal force, losing a tank here and there, too exposed, but McRave is too scared to push the issue. And TSMU now protecting its third as well, and that's just going to be interesting for McRave, because TSMU's got the better army, he's got the better army value, and you either need something like Storm Tech or Brilliant Engagement. Attacking tanks with Reavers head up, you can do it, but it's not the most effective way of dealing with mech Terran, I'd say. And you also lose quite a bit of money in, well, you've got 3 now, so you basically lose 45 a shot, and you're really going to need siege tanks. So TSMU holding its own quite handily, now with 4 bases soon, McRave taking a 4th as well. So economically they are quite evenly matched, but just the siege tank mechanic for Terran, that's winning TSMU this game. Because I don't really think that TSMU's army micro is so superior to that of McRave, but it's just those tanks that are really doing a lot of damage, and they are really hard to engage. I don't know why TSMU is congregating so much in the worker line of its natural. And you can see now TSMU making a nice concave, but as soon as these tanks siege, the enemy army gets confused, gets wavery, backs off, loses a lot of hit points and units, and TSMU, although there is a quite sizable Protoss production capacity here, going for some air units as well. A couple of Arbiters might be nice. Have we got Arbiter tech somewhere? Yeah, we have. So a couple of Arbiters might steady the game for McRave, but the third is under attack, and although there are 2 cannons, TSMU is not coming to harass with a couple of vultures, it's coming to harass with a siege tank too, and that siege tank is going to range down the turrets and burn the base down. So that's unfortunate. TSMU is getting into its stride, lots of bases, lots of eco, and at every base, a couple of turrets and a tank. Very well done, just for good measure. Oh, no turrets here, so forget about that. No turrets there. 2 turrets here, and I think it's only just started. Yeah, there we go, to build turrets, and we might see some turrets here soon as well. So this tank shutting down this base, first the cannons, and McRave saving it in the nick of time with an Arbiter. And by now TSMU, not going for nuclear silos, is going to have a lot of comsats at its disposal with a lot of energy too, but as it's also regularly using it for scanning purposes versus Arbiters, the Arbiters just, or the Arbiter just might give McRave... Oh, that you shouldn't... Oh god. Should have an Observer too, mate. Yeah, and then, especially in the pathway trying to clear mines, TSMU making a poke at this base, and this base simultaneously. So McRave under a lot of pressure, although it's got the army, it really needs to commit somewhere. That storm fluffs, and another storm. That would have been clutch on this area here, but this army with the tanks and the support units is just too strong. This base is under attack. This... Oh, there we go. Yeah, nice scan right on top of it. And a couple of vultures and Goliaths. This might be cleaned up handily. But Protoss is really struggling with an army of 26 supplied, trying to defend all these outposts, while TSMU is just mining the map, making units, nearly maxed, and look at the income it's got. And it would be really scary if TSMU was starting to use battle cruisers or nukes, but with the mech army I think it might be even scarier, because although this Reaver is really doing damage here with the Arbiters, in the end McGrave is out of this because it's got no workers. It's got 4, and all 3 are there, and 1's there, so no income at this. Oh, and that's a real good storm. Unfortunately, TSMU is maxed, banking minerals, not really banking gas at this point. And have we got turrets here? We've got turrets here as well. So TSMU really, I think, is one of the bots with the most potential. It's only Iron and Crazier which are posing a real threat to it. And with a couple of small updates it might beat those, but TSMU's been so busy with I think with the Facebook or Alibaba project for bwapi, working on OpenBW. Hello OpenBW, beautiful replay viewer, and I'd really like to see him do one big update for the next student StarCraft tournament at the end of this year. And I don't know what these Goliaths are doing. Is there an observer somewhere they're trying to... Oh, there is an Arbiter they're trying to kill. That's not really working. But disregarding that, there is a large TSMU army out on the map. And this game is over, so I'm going to call the GG and get into Tyr versus bwapi. Ironbot was one step too far for Tyr Protoss. bwapi might not, and PvP is a beautiful mashup of its own. Got to do a special about that sometimes, and you can see Tyr Protoss is stacking a lot of minerals. What's that about? Oh, it's going for a forge first into a very strangely placed cannon and a gateway. So build order wise, Tyr Protoss is doing pretty well, but I dare say in the execution there is lots to be won, and McGrave wasting a lot of blows on this Nexus, while the cannon taking 3 shots at the attacking Zealot. Natural up for bwapi, and Tyr Protoss is only now transferring a couple of probes, and I do feel that if you are going to do that pile in the Forge Fast Expand, your building placements ought to be a little bit better, and you've really got to take advantage of the fact that you can expand for free. And if the enemy is just going to not build Forge Fast Expand, but going to Fast Expand anyway, you're basically behind, which is happening now, because there is a Reaver tech out for bwapi already. bwapi taking a 3rd base. And although Tyr Protoss is higher on the ladder right now than bwapi, so I wonder what that's about. And bwapi going for a couple of cannons too, so sort of protected versus any kind of cheap harass. But here comes the army of Tyr Protoss going for a 3rd as well, and going to take a fight at the natural of bwapi. bwapi with a couple of units, couple of cannons, doing quite well, and all the forces are pulling back to defend the natural. Losing a couple of zealots here and there. We've got a shuttle. Where will it go? Oh, hello. Here comes... Oh, that was a really good one. Oh! Oh no. Oh no, oh no. And these goons, they forget the presence of the vulture as soon as it's back in the shuttle and over the high ground. This is a probe genocide. This is really, really evil. A couple of probes being transferred here, but you can see where it's going to come down. Although bwapi is kind of depressed here and refusing to fight, this Reaver is killing so many workers. It is insane, and these goons, they keep forgetting about it as soon as this shuttle is over the high ground once again. And this is really not going to help Tyr Protoss, really not. bwapi running away with this game, although... Oh, the couple of cannons did detain. Oh, and it might have won, but there is one more goon. Will it dare attack at this point? It doesn't dare attack this sickly cannon. And that is going to be the end of that, because there are 2 zealots going to help out, and Tyr Protoss might just have broken McGrave, but broken McGrave despite this. God, this is really something. And now it's stalled for some reason, and it's going after the main mineral line. And after the zealots too. Killing zealots, killing workers, finding a place to drop, and when it drops, it will fire. Oh, look at this micro. That is absolutely insane. McGrave now taking down this base too. And there is a Templar coming. Oh, the probe with fluffs and another storm fluffs. It should place them a little bit deeper. But this Shuttle and Reaver is really doing the numbers on all things tier Protoss. Ow, ow, ow. What this is absolutely... This is not a PvP clinic, it's a PvP hospital. Ha ha ha. And McGrave has got everything in the choke. Oh, the enemy's natural. And that's going to be the game. Oh, that one Reaver. Oi, oi, oi. Okay, so tier Protoss is really... sorry I haven't been able, haven't got one more game. Perhaps take one game later to show what it can really do, because it doesn't get 5th place for nothing. But versus McGrave and Ironbot, they were a little bit too much. Now KZBot, I've said it before, is doing quite well too. So let's see what it can do in this game versus the old master of the pack, Ice Labs. Ice Labs 3 years ago was the undisputed leader of the leaderboard, and now is struggling to get by with the new macro modes, but it's still pretty decent and a monster in its own right. So not really the fastest. We are 5 minutes in, nothing happened, and KZBot's got the opportunity to take the opportunity to build a couple of muters which are going to engage these bunkers head on. And Icebot going for the immediately shut this whole thing down, build a lot of turrets mode. No turrets in the main though, that's one of the things that's unfortunate. And we saw earlier these muters just taking a point underneath the enemy base and then trying to get in. But Ice is going for a lot of Goliaths as well. Because back in the days, the main adversary for Icebot was the Berkeley Overmind, which did a lot of muters. So basically, if you got wind of that, you just spammed Goliaths and you were okay. The question is, how will it fare against KZBot, which is going to take 3 bases and might perhaps switch into something else, which the Berkeley Overmind would never do. We just stick with muters and try to win with that. And you can see that's 2 muters lost for a couple of workers. Not really going to work. These muters not taking too many hits, but not getting anything done either, because there are just so many Goliaths at this point. And more Goliaths being built. Air units being built as well. Icebot sitting back on 2 bases. Supply-wise, it's not really in anyone's favor right now. But KZBot's only got 17 workers and 4 bases, so the saturation is really abysmal at this point. And while the enemy is stuck in its base, it might do a round of 2 of workers, because it's got 1, well, it's got 1, 2, this is going to be a 3rd, no, that's an Evo. A nice sunken for the time being, now taking a lot of bases, but the worker count is really lagging behind, so there is no actual income. This worker is even stuck, so it's 14 workers, now 15 mining. And that's not really a lot. Icebot going for a 3rd base, has got triple the amount of workers of Zerg, and Zerg is even building buildings out of its already meager worker pool. So these buildings are just standing around doing nothing. You've got the larvae, so might build 3 here, 3 there, and have superior income in the long run. But for the time being, KCS thinks it's going to be okay with a couple of muters, no workers. God, it's... Okay, this must be a bug. These are going to be... Well, we've got 1, 2 Evo chambers, 2 Queen's Nests, 3, 4 Queen's Nests, 5 Queen's Nests, and a lot of Evo chambers, and no workers at all. And the ones we have are breakdancing across the map. and I don't know what that's about, but finally something is going to be done about mining. Icebot taking a 4th base and sitting back, building a lot of units, being really slow about it because there is no real planning for depots. Just as soon as the supply is full, it will build another. That's not going to be enough. And Casiopod, what the bloody hell is it going to do? We've got 2 and 2. Oh, we've got a Spire as well, yeah, of course. We've got so many Queen's Nests and Evo Chambers. I really don't know. We've got more. Oh god, we've got more. And Ice is now really going to rove the map with its huge army. Casiopod, 12 workers. It's got more Evo Chambers than workers at this moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. God, another Queen's Nest. What? It should really check that. And that's unfortunate. So ideally, another one. And 14 workers. No, that's a thingy. Yeah, no workers at all. I really don't know what the hell is going on. Yeah. GG! And let's hop into a PvP. Is this a good game? Hopefully so, because I've done a lot of good games, but really, in all honesty, I would like to find a replay of Casiopod. And then versus versus Tier Protoss, actually. Apparently there isn't. We've got another one versus Ice Labs a little bit later. Let's take that one. And while we are on the topic, last game it was Casia versus Ice. And Casia just refused to build any drones, took 7 bases and built a lot of Evo Chambers. This time going to be all about quick Zerglings, which will be probably too late if they run after this scouting SUV, and some kind of Hydra play. Looks like some kind of a lurker play. Yep, 1 base lurker. Oh, that's pretty ballsy. If it works, it will work. If it doesn't, you're pretty much dead. The links won't get in, that's to be expected. And this 1 Hydra, and we've got a couple of lurkers too. So, will Ice be prepared? I see no Comsat, I see no Academy, I see no eBay. So, as they say, this is it. Are the workers safe? No, the workers are getting hit as well. That's about 3 or 4 lurkers already. We've got, oh, not many more coming up. But that's going to be a bit of a drain on Ice's economy, and even if he can repair that bunker, it's a lot of damage just to take in. But if it can contain or keep the enemy out, oh, but here goes the bunker, and here go the Marines, and now you've got 3 or 4, oh god, this is not good for Ice. You've got 4 lurkers in your natural mineral line. This Comsat is going to be put out of commission really soon. And besides, there is no combat unit at all for Ice. Oh, there's 1 tank. Will we see the scan? We will see the scan, but the tank sieging inside of the range of these lurkers. And perhaps with the timing of the scan, if it gets off this 1 last shot. No, it doesn't. So the lurkers have it all. And the last tank for Ice is dying. Oh god, this is not really good. Okay, well, let's get back into the game. Casia can do a lot, but should do something about the Evos and the Queen's Nests, is the conclusion for now. So, it's TSMU, Terran, number 3 versus Purple Wave, and Mr. Dan has been working hard at Purple Wave, so let's see what it can do versus TSMU. TSMU, still the force to be reckoned with, coming in at 3rd place, very impressive. But there is a goon to face off against its first Vulture, so I think that Protoss for the time being is okay. TSMU immediately taking a base of its own, building a lot of units, not really being too aggressive with them. After all, the enemy is not iron, so you don't really need to contest the middle of the map. And I think that bots should really do that more and better. Just contend the middle of the map for map control, because if you've got the map, you know what the enemy is doing. And, ooh, that's some good mine hits for TSMU, some bad ones for Purple Wave. But if you've got the middle of the map, you know where the enemy is, what he's doing, and if you can keep tabs on all the expansions, you can, with a cruel and quick calculation, calculate who's ahead economically. Third base being taken for Purple Wave, and I like that. Just macro, build buildings, production capacity. And that's 2 more gateways here, 2 there, and that's what you need. And you don't... Oh, that was a very lucky Dragoon. You don't really need to suicide into Dragoons that much. TSMU's got the way superior army, but with a 3 versus 2 base economy, and with some additional gateways which have been put up in the natural worker transfer, McRave is quickly going to equalize that army deficit. Now, will there be... Yeah, there are a couple of goons in the third. So these vultures, although they've got the superior speed, can't really touch these goons. For that you need... Oh, there goes Purple Wave's army again. And what's left of it is being knocked up by the roving vultures of TSMU. So yeah, that didn't work out too well. TSMU's got a third up already. So Purple Wave might pay some attention to mines, really. Message of the day. We're going to give all these AIs a tip and a top. So I like how Purple Wave is expanding, and I say as a tip that it might work on these darn things called mines, and which TSMU uses so liberally. Crazio does too, and if you're going to throw up with the big Terrans, I think you're really going to need to do something about the mines. And TSMU going not to take 4th base, or yeah, but in the direction of the enemy. So confident is TSMU, and that makes a lot of sense. If you're ahead, take a base into the direction of the enemy, because you've got to protect it, you've got to attack the enemy, and your troops will be moving in the same direction. Now these vultures taking down a lone pylon. I don't know what that pylon is doing, and now going after this poor little undefended lone Dragoon, and that's really the game of the lost Dragoons for Purple Wave at this point. The vultures, they estimate they can take this cannon, and as soon as they see workers, or they take the workers and all. So depopulating the third base, TSMU is not really ahead, but that's mainly because Purple Wave's got such a load of cheap units in Zealots and Dragoons. It's got one Reaver, they're called Reavers, I keep forgetting that. TSMU take another base, and really having the expensive units, having got the good upgrades. No air tech yet, but with the minefield here and the minefield there, this small gateway push might actually do a lot of damage, but there are more tanks in the rear, so although TSMU is going to lose a bit, these tanks are basically unassailable, and now with some mines too, I don't think that TSMU is going to be much hindered by this push. Boom! There go, and again a lot of goons, and that's really the blue soup Terrans love so much, and Protoss don't really have not really taken a fancy to. Now the Reaver is taking out the mines. It's not really economically to do so, but ooh, that's a good hit. Yes, there you go. Versus, he just brought vultures to a Reaver fight, mate. And ooh, yeah, there we go, and another hit, and this Marine really got to look out. And McRave taking some back, and that's good for the game. Now taking more bases, and this game's really getting good right now, because TSMU really bundled that fight versus that Reaver, and now being a little bit defensive. Still got the tanks, got the air technology. I saw a science vessel somewhere. Yep, there we go. TSMU's got the armies, got the mines, but really McRave is pulling all the plugs, really getting into wild macro mode. Might put up a turret or two, because this vulture shut down the entire probe transfer. This pylon, I don't know why there is a pylon right in the middle of the map every time. TSMU seems to have taken a fancy to it well with these mines. Just a good place to keep tabs on. And these vultures, oh god. Oh god, it's a good day to die and a bad day to be a goon or a pro. And yeah, really Purple Wave might start with a pylon cannon nexus. That might be the thing to do, because now TSMU's got double army supply, and although Oh, the Reavers are prioritizing the Goliaths over the tanks and are basically dying. Although they try to keep out of the range of the tanks, TCMU right now has got too much stuff, it's got the economy, and is going to push in the purple wave's nose. And these two carriers, oh, look at that, Matrix. Yeah, you need to fight with a little bit more carrierage than just two, and don't push your wounded carrier in front so much, sir. TCMU taking its time, harassing the hell out of the enemy. The purple wave doing what it can, but it's just not fighting concertedly, just losing too many units for no good reason. Carrier to a couple of stray Goliaths, at least 50, no that's not true, at least I think I've seen 20 goons lost to mines for no good reason at all. If they were kept close together they might have done something. If they would have had an observer they might have done something. And right now this is not the way. You don't let them in first and roll up your base and then kill them. You kill them before they hit your economy. And now with the carriers, they are doing quite well, but you need to keep those Goliath numbers down and not let that single carrier fend for its own. And if they haven't got the interceptor numbers, move them out of harm's way, please. Just muster up 5 of these things and then take down the Goliaths and then take down the rest. And TSMU just going to have its way with the Protoss and taking a lot of base. TSMU is not really all that aggressive, it's just an interesting mining pattern, so if ever there were a goon coming across this area of the map, it might be interesting to see how it would do and how these mines would freak out, popping up on top of each other. But third is down, natural's out. This is the game. Valiant fight by Purple Wave, and the tip for Purple Wave is do better with mines. So, ta-da-da-dum, it's TSMU, oh no, it's Ironbot as the Teal Terrans, sorry, and it's TSMU as the Brown Zerg. So will TSMU will be able to take a game of Ironbot and slow down, boy. So we've got 2 goons out, we've got 2 vultures out who are going to pass each other. Will be unfortunate because there is no remaining defense for TSMU, save for some zealots, and of course zealots don't do too well against and what the bloody hell are these goons doing here? So the goons are coming back. A couple of vultures have killed a couple of zealots, and the game is on for dominance of the middle of the map, and whoever takes that can contain the enemy and do some harassy stuff all over the place. And these goons, wow. These goons are in a prime position to take out a lot of workers if they were to hold position here and not run into the siege tank. A couple of scouts and goons are going to do damage here. This tank is going to do some damage to these goons. Are really interrupting the mining here, so it's a 2 versus 1 base situation basically, and we've got a lot of scouts out on the map. God, what is this? And meanwhile Iron is coming up with, it's only got 1 tank, so these goons, it's a good composition, but you don't really want to chase vultures with scouts. Use your scouts elsewhere. And there is only 1 tank for Iron, so at this point, oh god, just 1 cannon, 2 cannons at each expansion and shut down the bloody vulture micro. It's not that hard. Tip for TSMU, 2 cannons at each base. And no 1 tip. This should be obvious. It's not working. It's a wild scout chase. Oh, that's better. Yeah, just take down the workers with the scouts. That's a good choice. And don't go toe to toe with Goliaths. And TSMU was just giving the word harassment a whole new meaning. Harassing with scouts versus Terran, who's ever seen that in his life. Meanwhile, while he's got the map, oh god. Oh god. Yeah, you've got no workers left, mate, sorry. Unfortunate. Iron now has the map with superior forces, because although there are goons and scouts out, they're not going to do anything versus an economy that's double that of yours. And, oh wow, let me take that back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 scouts harassing 1 base. There is no building anymore going on because all the workers have been killed. 2 scouts at the front as well. These tanks can't do anything. And although there is a huge army of vultures and Goliaths here, the scouts Yeah, you need some other units than scouts, you know, it's mandatory. 2 cannons, couple of units besides scouts, and there you go. Harassment here seems to have ceased as well. And yeah, that's the game. 3rd base for iron. Huge army incoming, only scouts, no probes. GG! So, Subtop Protoss, Purple Wave versus McRave. That's a lot of Aves, and let's see who is going to come out the best. We saw both play very respectable games, and will it be a game about doing things right or slipping up and making major mistakes? Now, we've got a 1 gate into ranged goon, 1 gate into ranged goon with 2 zealots, and 2 zealots here as well. Scouting probe done. And we've got the first standoff on our hands. We've got 3 zealots versus 2 zealots and 2 goons. Goons of McRave are coming up in the rear, but not really going to be a factor in this fight for the time being. This small group might not really pursue this too much, otherwise it's going to be set upon and chased back to base the same way it's going to chase back the enemy. And there we go, all get back. Ooh, I think that's really ballsy by a Purple Wave, and it might, if it takes, yeah, it kills that worker. Might have come out just ahead, just making the kill, save the goon of its own, which will regenerate its shields, and 4 more goons at home. So that's good. Both players going for a 1 base, and looks like 1 base with a Reaver added into the composition. And now it's McRave's turn to run back across the map. Purple Wave not pursuing, it's going to rely on that Reaver. And army supply wise, McRave is way ahead. It's way ahead. Purple Wave going for 30 workers, that's quite a lot, still building workers. While McRave is thinking, well, I'm going to play 1 base for a bit, just let this base be saturated, and then the rest of my money can go into unit production. First Reaver out. Might have a shuttle soon too. And of course, in a tight 1 versus 1 base situation, if you can sneak round the back and let loose 1 or 2 scarabs at this heavily oversaturated mineral line, you're golden. So why not go for that? Meanwhile, more buildings, more piling, just 1 base, 20 versus 30 workers. Now, although the supply is equal, this is the statistic to look at, because the workers of Purple Wave are more than those of McRave. McRave, by consequence, have got 20 supply more in army. And now the first Reavers are going to be brought to bear. I'd say McRave has the superior concave. And now the Reavers coming into the fight as well. 2 Reavers for Purple Wave. But they haven't really been able to let loose a scarab. And are fighting better, because there was a Reaver for McRave, but it's dead. There is one coming here. For the time being, it's a stalemate, and who is going to be the first one to get a crucial Reaver hit in, or build an expansion? And I'd say that Purple Wave might benefit most from an expansion, because it's got the workers already and still building workers. Scouting probe killed. Army composition, Purple Wave's catching up, but if it isn't going to build an expansion, it can't do anything with almost double the worker count. That's really something. Now losing a couple of units here and there, that's not good, because its army is already severely smaller than that of McRave, and neither player going for the expansion. I think McRave is going to win this, but of course there is Reavers, and when Reavers get engaged, it's anyone's game. That's the high ground of Purple Wave and the high ground of McRave. And let's see how this game is going to unfold. The Reavers are being focused fired by McRave, and now it's a fight of only 1 versus 2 Reavers, and I think the superior army of McRave is going to carry McRave into not the next game, but into victory. And here goes another desperate attempt to kill the Reaver, and the other Reaver is being protected by so much, and now McRave is going in for the kill with 2 versus 1 Reavers, and that is, I think, a good decision to focus fire the Reavers first, and then you can mop up the rest with relative ease later. McRave's got 24 army supply versus only 10, and Purple Wave's finally stopped building workers, thank God. But it's under a lot of pressure by at least 2 Reavers, and this goon is going to be dead soon. No expansion still. All bases getting low. And that's just a Reaver slug out. And the Reaver 4 purple wave dies. Magrave's got the better micro, and it's just 3 Reavers getting up versus a huge Gateway army, and only now purple wave taking the base, and Magrave too, but as you've got 3 of those in your natural, it's not the ideal time to take it. Oh, and that Reaver unfortunately lands without ever firing a shot. The Scarab wasn't ready, and 3 Reavers are sealing the deal for Magrave. The natural will be done too, but this game will have been decided before that, because these Reavers, even at their speed, are going to make their way into the probe line. And this is going to be ugly. Hold on to your seats, folks. Oh, the first one duds. And the second one and the third one hits. And the worker counts are to be equalized and doubled relatively soon by Magrave. Magrave, good decision to stop the worker production, and yeah, the Reaver, the anti-Reaver micro was superior, just focusing enemy Reavers, and then it's the game, good game. And that brings us to the last game of today. It's Antigua as the Protoss, which has helped Eric Hammer so much with build orders and other players too. Let's see what the last update has brought for it itself, because giving advice is one thing, I like to do that a lot too, but of course I can't code a single line. So my bot would suck even if I had all the build orders, but Antigua has really shown a good grasp of the game. Took out that with the help of Eric Hammer, of course, but Eric Hammer built that beautiful Hydra into Muta into Hydra push, which totally demolished Iron until it looked pale in the face. And now it's going for, I think, a 1-gate Goon, and the other end Crazio is going for a very, very, very quick 1 Marine command center, 2 Marines. That's really ballsy, and really banking hard on the enemy not doing anything. And if that bunker does get up before the Goon hits, Crazio is a very lucky AI. Yep, there we go. And without Goon range, or we'll have Goon range soon. Oh god, it's attracted to SCVs, and that may be its undoing, but it gets out with a sliver of life left. And Crazio going full range, and Caesar has a dark suspicion that there might be a Goon push in the offing. Another 2 gates for Antigua. And although there are going to be Goons with range relatively soon, one's badly hurt. Crazio is working on the U-238 shells, but yeah, there we go. Marine range finishing up, and that's your Goon pressure for you. It's a 2 versus 1 base situation, and what's worse, the 2 base belong to the Terran and the 1 base belongs to Protoss, and that barracks is going not down. All the Goons are going down. That's a nice change of syntax. And Crazio really with the meat grinder, and now a tank too. So yeah, count your profits. Antigua, better pull a white and pink dotted rabbit out of your deep hat, because Crazio is going to go into war mode. It's taken the very, very early natural, and has got more tanks than you've got Goons at the moment. What are these 2 going to do? I don't know. Crazio going for the high ground, and 2 tanks protecting the natural. There must be some kind of a job description for what they're doing. Setting up a brilliant position here to support the push. It's a 3 versus 2 base situation. Protoss army is virtually non-existent, no tech, and Crazio is going for the push. It's more and more aggressive, and this game is a really good combination of hyper-economic aggression and army aggression as well, because this push is rolling up Goons and Reavers without shuttles. Oh, that's silly. That Reaver just nearly died versus a single Vulture. And Antigua was a good idea, but Crazio read right into it, put up the bunker at the exact same time that the first Goon hit, and then had Goon range negated by its own marine range. So that was the game. And immediately you can see like a bacterial colony, all these sprouts of spider mines in every direction. Oh, we've got nukes. Oh, hello. Like to see that. Will we see nukes? Or no, probably will be too late. And there is nothing building yet, so we've got lockdown, we've got EMP, we've got marine range. Will we see nukes? Nah. Is a nuclear unit, or is it a building? I'd say it was a unit. But nothing happening, just a silo. But Crazio's got this locked down. So this was this week's broadcast. Iron still on top, Crazio good second, and then it's the rest of the pack. Tips of today is protect your naturals and don't run into mines. This was this week's broadcast. See you again next time. Goodbye.